Yeah.
Awesome.
My dear ones, to see what you have done. When to do a ceremony like this, to come together to ask the Creator for direction and let them go the past and provide a good future. You are asking for assistance before you do the work. And we've done that in ceremony. What has kept us here, alive and well, and sustained us all these years? As Indian people, as First Nation people, it is our ritual and our custom and the spirit of who we are that has done that to us. And that is the difference between First Nation health, holistic health concept, as opposed to a federal government concept. First Nation people tap to the Spirit. I encourage you to do that more. When you have big issues in the vision, before you sit down at the tables, bring in the traditional people and have a ceremony to ask for help and direction, and then do the business. That way, we'll continue the spirit of what we've done here today. What strength that is. What we can do when we work together. So thank you all for your participation and your patience. And your understanding and your contribution. It is truly an honor to work with you. Thank you.
Again, thanking you for your patience. And we're just clarifying a few things. You know how sometimes in a ceremony goes, but we've asked Koinko and Cliff to come forward and to take care of some of this work, to take care of the things that we want to hang on to and the things that we want to let in a ceremony. We've done that here today, and if we were in a big house, these fires would come to, or these prayers would be taken care of in the fire. Or if we were in the closer to the mountain, in a place that you can't walk, then we'd go and take care of that work. But today we realize where we are, and we've asked a couple to come forward to take care of this work. And so they're just going to explain briefly how they're going to take care of this work on behalf of the Spirit.
Yarikshil, in Squash Coinco, Michelle. It gives me a great honor today to be asked to gather all the words that were shared for those that put on a paper, on a blue paper, the things that you would need. I'm going to take this and I'm going to have a sweat, and I will say some prayers in this sweat for all the things that you shared on this paper. And I will put some tobacco in a fire, and I will ask the ancestors to take your prayers and answer them. And this is the way I will take care of this. Kuksjam Wailimlam.
we can initial class, Stakshit Ahoset. You Kwanat looks not up with the Slutzma, was you, Tikunukla. It's Haksa Yuka, Yakitisu Tlisasap, Satchit Masanishwa, Aqua Pakler, was you, Tikun. Forgot I have to translate. We have like ceremonies that we call Tikkun, where I'll go home to house it to take care of these papers that you have written on, to let those things that you want to let go, and we'll burn it, signifying that we've all let go, and the ancestors will know that too.
I want to thank Wikanenish and Koinko for coming forward and accepting that work and sharing with you how they're going to take care of that work. They didn't know until a few minutes ago that they were going to do this work, but being spiritual people as well, they're really thanking them for stepping forward. We know that when we had called witnesses that we might have missed a few. We were going by the registration that was papers that were handed to us, but there was a CM that we had missed, Clark Robinson from Kidasu. So wanted to just acknowledge some of our CMs that might have come in a bit later or didn't get registered, or somehow we missed your name. So want to complete the second part of this work. You know, again, I mentioned at the start that this is a huge initiative. It's an awesome gathering, a big celebration. This is big work, and that we were going to kind of ground it in a ceremony. We were going to do a ceremony in 3 hours, which was really unheard of. But because of the time frames, you know, we've evolved a little bit. We're going to be turning now to, I think before we go to some of the regions to share some songs, we're going to turn to our witnesses and the ones that we're going to ask to come forward to speak. So that way, when we carry on with our songs and our way of celebrating, if the table is ready, then we can allow some to eat, those that need to eat, those that might be diabetic or elderly or might need to get some food, we can carry on eating. And because I'd love to hear all of the songs. There's lots of good songs, cultures, traditions, ways of celebrating that are here. And so we know that 10 minutes for each region is not a whole lot of time, but that's still going to be an hour of straight songs. So we want to respect each other. We want to appreciate one another and allow our friends and relatives to get up and share as well their songs. You know, so when we're out here, we want to appreciate those that are coming behind us. Really grateful for the staff that made some really big writing that I can read. So we're going to call some of the ones to leave some words for us now. We're, the first speaker to speak to the work will be Michelle Wah. the Deputy Minister of Health for Canada. The second speaker will be Terry Lake, the Minister of Health for British Columbia. Third speaker will be John Rustad, the Minister of Aboriginal Relations and Reconciliation for British Columbia. Then we're going to, at one time our elders said you could have an outer body experience, or you could travel, or you could send your spirit somewhere. But our national chief is going to come in by technology. And so there will be a video shown from our national chief. Then we will turn to the Honorable Bernard Valcourt, the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs and Northern Development for Canada. Grand Chief Doug Kelly from the Stalo Tribal Council and the First Nations Health Council Chair. Lydia Wheatsum from Cowichan Tribes. She's the First Nations Health Authority Chair. Jackie McPherson from the Osoyoos Indian Band. She is the President of the First Nations Health Directors Association. And then we have going to go to the regions. And those that have been identified to stand up and speak on behalf of the regions, from the north, Chief Julie Morrison from Gittinmax. From the interior, Chief Wayne Christian from Spalatzen. From Vancouver Island, if I wasn't reading it, I think I could almost say it before, but from Chief Bob Chamberlain from, I won't try to say it, Bob, sorry. You can say the proper pronunciation when you get up from your community. From the Fraser Salish, Chief David Jimmy from Squayala. Then we're going to turn to Vancouver Coast from the Douglas, Chief Don Harris. So we're going to then now turn to those speakers to come forward and to leave some words about the ceremony and about the work of the day. Then after the speakers, we're going to turn to celebrate. We're going to invite all of the drummers and singers up in an order to kind of share time to celebrate with one another. So, Michelle Waugh, Deputy Minister of Health Canada.
Good morning, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. So first of all, I have to say that I want to thank our friend here who gave me a promotion, Deputy Minister. I am an Assistant Deputy Minister, but that's okay. So I am being asked to witness and to speak on, from my heart. So what I will say, it's this morning when I get up, the first thing I saw, it's fog. I think everybody saw that fog this morning. And when I came in the room here, what I saw, it's lights. It is sunshine. It is transformation. I saw a lot of proudness, people being very proud this morning, and I am hopeful for the future of the health of BC First Nations. One group that I would like to recognize, however, we have a lot of work, there is a lot of work going on, and the future will call for a lot of work from all of us. But for many, many years, relationship has been built in the context of with Health Canada and First Nations in BC, with all of those employees that we have in First Nations Health Branch. And I want to recognize them. I know they have moved on now with FNHA, and this is great, but I think that where we are today, it's based on the relationship that those people have built with all of you, and I want to recognize them this morning. And I want to recognize the hard work of all of the BC First Nations leadership and of all of you, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to be allowed to attend this very nice ceremony. So thank you very much, and good luck to all of us, I should say. Thank you.
So the family's just shaking the hand of the speaker. It's our protocol. We always shake hand and we give thanks. And again, it's that exchange. What they're giving, the family is touched, and they're giving that to the one that was speaking. And so they're receiving some of the family's goodness, and it's just an acknowledgement and gratitude. So Haitchka for the beautiful words, and we'll turn the floor over to our next speaker.
Ian Potter's going to stand in.
Good morning, all. My name is Ian Potter. I'm the Chief Federal Negotiator for the Tripartite First Nations Health Plan, and I have been honored to be part of this process. I give thanks to the Creator for living long enough to be here at this event and to see the enthusiasm, to see the hope for a better future for children and grandchildren of First Nations people in British Columbia. The Minister of Aboriginal Affairs and Northern Development, the Honourable Bernard Valcourt, was unable to get here at this moment, so I've been asked to convey his best wishes for the success of this initiative, his support, and the support of the Government of Canada for this initiative, and to thank the Coast Salish people for welcoming us to your territory for this event. It's an honor to be here, to be called as a witness to this event. I'd like to congratulate all the leaders of First Nations, the health directors, people in communities, the staff of the First Nations Health Authority and the First Nations Health Council for the leadership that they've shown, the courage to change some things, the courage to look forward, to take things in hand, and to create a better future. I've watched with attention over the years as colleagues such as the Minister of Health have talked about this initiative, the many challenges that were faced and surpassed. And I wondered if it wasn't because of the stunning mountains, even though you may not be able to see them today because of the fog, or the beautiful waters that surround this land that have given the strength to the people here to take on this charge and to lead a better future for health. I know that beyond the beautiful environment, the earth that the people here are part of is also their spirit. And at the core of this success is the determination, the strength of the people. The strength of the people in British Columbia, the First Nations in British Columbia, that have grasped this initiative and will turn this initiative into better health and better health services for today, tomorrow, and the future. The Government of Canada is proud to be a partner with you, with the First Nations Health Authority and the province of British Columbia, and to bear witness to your transformation of the health system and the support. And we'll support you throughout this shared journey. I believe that the strength of our partnership will grow even greater as the First Nation Health Authority grows and develops. I'm excited to be a witness today, and I'm excited to be part of your ongoing journey. Thank you, and as I said, these are words from the Minister of Aboriginal and Northern Development, the Honourable Bernard Valcourt. He wishes to thank you and congratulate you on your courage and our best wishes for the transformation of the First Nations health, which begins today. Thank you.
So Minister Terry Lake, Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Willie, and good morning, everyone. It is truly an honor to be here and to be welcomed into the big house of the Coast Salish First Nations. On behalf of Premier Christy Clark and Minister John Rustad, our Minister of Aboriginal Relations and Reconciliation, who wanted to be here today but unfortunately was not feeling well this morning, I want to say it is such a great honor to bear witness to this tremendous milestone in British Columbia history. We were asked to speak from the heart, not bring notes. And for a politician, that's kind of like flying solo or jumping out of a plane without a parachute. But even notes can get you into trouble sometimes. When I came yesterday and my note said to thank the elder for the prayer, and I came in and I realized it wasn't Leonard who had given the prayer, but I didn't know who it was, and I just came in, and so I thanked the elder. And Leah, I must apologize to you. Leah is not an elder, although she is very wise. My name is Terry Lake. I'm from Tecumloops, and I'm 56 years old. I'm really proud to be here with some of my friends from the interior, and I promise to keep this speech short. It would be probably the average length of a Shane Godfredson speech, so if you're here till about 3 o'clock, that's about right. Shane? You know, we all get into public life. Many of you here obviously have been working in public life for a long time, and you do it because you want to make a difference. And there are times where you feel like you're not making much of a difference every day as you deal with the issues, as you have briefings, as you travel to meetings, and you get into debates over how to move forward. And then there are times in your public life where you feel like, wow, I'm part of something special. And I feel like that today. I felt like that yesterday. I feel like that today, that as a British Columbian, as someone in public life, I'm so deeply honored to be part of something very special. And I've only been a part of this for a short period of time as health minister, and I want to just pay my respects to our ministry staff, my deputy Stephen Brown, Assistant Deputy Minister Arlene Payton, and particularly to Dr. Shannon MacDonald and Dr. Evan Adams for the tremendous work they have done, working alongside Chief Doug Kelly and the First Nations Health Council and Joe and the First Nations Health Authority to make today a reality. And I also want to thank the federal government, Minister Ambrose, Minister Aglukkaq before her, that have worked with us in the tripartite agreement to make this day happen. Again, I'm deeply honored. I'm looking forward to working towards a brighter, better, healthier future for all First Nations in British Columbia as we make this province the very best it can be. Thank you, everybody.
Are we ready to beam in our national chief? He's a shlam, he's a real powerful Indian doctor. He can send himself here. Can somebody tell us? Anybody tell us what we're doing? Yeah. He's on his way. You think, send it to him.
Chusi Aksa Inchat Tikshisi Hatway Hiksu, Coast Salish Nations. I am Inchat from the community of Howsett on the west coast of Vancouver Island And while I very much wish that I could be there with you today, I'm thankful and honored for the opportunity to address you for Gathering Wisdom 6. It's amazing to think just 8 years ago, First Nations in British Columbia entered into the Transformative Change Accord with a vision for transforming the lives of our people and the relationships with governments, both here in British Columbia as well as with Canada. It wasn't that long ago that this was just a vision that you've now made a reality. And it's critical to understand, and I share these thoughts in my role as National Chief, looking at the rich and incredible diversity from coast to coast to coast, that even though there are over 30 languages in British Columbia and deep, deep diversity, rich diversity, that you found ways to work together. Focusing in this instance on taking over control of health, the kind of effort that is entrenched in the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. It's anchored in the rights that we've all inherited. You've maintained a focus that by doing this work together, we can transform the lives of our families and those most vulnerable, especially the children. And that by accomplishing this work in health, it allows the opportunity to move across the social determinants of health spectrum. It's a way to get to addressing issues of poverty in our communities, addressing issues of housing and homelessness. This is important work. It's important work that I want to thank you for, because you're serving my own people from where I come from on the West Coast. I'm thankful for this because it offers inspiration for the entire country. It helps the governments understand that by working in full partnership, by empowering and supporting First Nations to take control of our own lives and accepting and sharing that responsibility, that which we've been fighting for so long, that what's good for First Nations, what's healthy for First Nations is going to be better and more healthy for British Columbia. This is a way for us to have healthy communities right across the entire country. I can't overemphasize the deep gratitude that I feel at a moment like this when transfer has just happened only 3 weeks ago. We know that lots of work has been accomplished, but there's so much more to do. Know that I, in my capacity as National Chief, stand in full support for you chiefs, for your health council, your health authority, for the work that you have in front of you. I am very proud of this effort that's been undertaken, and I look forward to the outcomes that are going to transform the lives of our people. Future generations will know, chiefs, that when it was your time to sit with governments, both provincial and federal, that you stepped forward, you stepped up and assumed the responsibility that is rightfully ours. But there is much more to do. Health transfer is going to mean tremendous responsibility. It'll call and test on First Nations to continue to work together with provincial and federal partners, forging an approach in health that will transform the lives of our people. By doing so, we have not only the opportunity to positively impact and inspire other regions of the country to follow suit, but then to begin to recognize that parallel efforts in areas of education, to address housing and the deep poverty and build our economies, that there's many lessons to be learned. So thank you for the inspiration that you've offered. Thank you to the government partners for recognizing and enacting the First Nations' right to be directly involved in designing and deciding on the kinds of approaches and areas of health that we know will work for our people. As National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, let me offer my most sincere congratulations for this incredible accomplishment. And I look forward to proudly standing with you to see this work and its success continue into the future. Tlek go, tlek go. Thank you very much.
Asiam, your uncle, brothers, respected elders, grand chiefs, chiefs, health directors, caregivers, brothers and sisters. My heart is overflowing. This day has been long in coming. This day of celebration is work that required every one of us to come together, to listen to one another, to understand one another, to help one another overcome our fears, overcome our anxieties, overcome our doubts, overcome that distrust of governments for all of the things that have happened in the past. What helped us do that? What helped us move from that unhealthy place to a deep place? A place of love, a place of kindness, a place of respect. What brought us together is that simple desire to create a better world for our children, our grandchildren, and future generations. We're here to celebrate this new day. I want to thank the organizers for their very careful consideration of how to mark this historic achievement. By calling upon our respected elders, by asking each of the regions to appoint one of their own long-standing caregivers and leaders that have helped rebuild our communities. And you did that. You stood up, 4 men and 1 woman, to serve as an anchor, to serve as a foundation, always reminding us of where we come from, to be proud of who we are, to be proud of our ceremonies, to be proud of all of those things that make us unique. You've asked them to teach us. You've asked them to mentor us. You've asked them to help keep us on that path. We also asked some very young women and 1 young man to be markers, to be the ones that learn, to be the ones to continue with our sacred ceremonies, to continue with our medicines, to continue with our ceremonies, to blend the best of the 2 worlds in which we live, to help those of our citizens that when they need surgery, we help get them the best surgeon available to carry out that procedure. But that's only looking after the body. We know that wellness is more than that. We know that the achievement of wellness requires that we look after our heart, that we look after our mind, and that we take care of our spirit. And that's what we've accomplished today. We're beginning the process of transforming that sickness system into a wellness system. Transforming about how we take care of one another. Yes, we'll look after our bodies. And I can say that being about 80 pounds lighter than I was a year and a half ago. We will look after our children, our families, and our communities. When we meet others, we tell them, we're here to change the world, but we cannot change the world without the help of others. I am so grateful for our federal partners. I'd invite everyone from Health Canada to please stand. Let's acknowledge our partners. Thank you, Team Canada. I want to acknowledge the province of British Columbia, who've stepped up in a very big way, who want to support our efforts to transform what I call the sickness system into a wellness system. I'd invite our provincial partners to stand and be recognized. I want to thank all of the chiefs and leaders, and I'd invite all of the members of the Health Council to stand. Change work is hard work. You gave us 5 years of hard work and you said, get it done in 2. We did it in 2 years and less than 2 weeks. 2 years, less 2 weeks, we got that work done. Because you gave us a very powerful, dedicated, hardworking Health Council, and for that I thank you. I want to acknowledge Joe Gallagher, my little brother from Tla'amin. If I knew that all I had to do was ask Uncle Leonard to get Joe to pick up a drum and to begin to sing those songs, to give himself medicine so that he could help continue carry this work forward, I'd have done that years ago. Thank you, Uncle, for calling upon our brother who has a very big job. We give him so much work to do. And it's important that we give him some of that love and some of that energy back. Thank you, Joe, for all that you do for all of us here in British Columbia First Nations and Aboriginal communities. Please stand and join. Quinniman, little brother, I'm not saying goodbye, I'm just giving you energy so you can continue for another decade. I probably used up all of Shane's time and Terry's time. I'm just overwhelmed. And I'm proud of each and every one of you. We will go forward together. We will make mistakes together, but we're going to listen. We're going to learn. We're going to forgive, and we're going to make it right. This we'll do together. Amen.
Lydia Wheatsum from the Cowichan Tribe. She's the First Nations Health Authority Chair.
Siam Nasiaya, all our respected friends. Siam Nitsqualmuk, all our First Nations people. Siam Nisalhuen, respected elders. I'd like to just start off by acknowledging our speakers here and the commitment they have to keeping the protocol and the teachings alive in our ceremonies. Thank you. I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, that Siam Nasiaya, I'm so honored to have the opportunity to be here as a witness today and to continue to do the work that is so important to all of us. I'm only going to take a couple of minutes, but I just want to talk about what I've seen today, what I saw happen, and what I saw unfold. And at the opening of the ceremony, singing the songs to call our ancestors to come be with us, to open our hearts and our minds to the work that was in front of us, to be able to see the sort of commitment that we've all made. So as we've come together and we've opened up our hearts and minds and we've called on the ancestors to come and join us to celebrate our survival as Hualmoch Misdimoch, as First Nations people. And to come together and witness the commitment that we have, the commitment that we have to make, the commitment that we've accepted, that as individuals, we'll take care of ourselves. As families, as communities, as nations, we'll take care of each other. So to be able to be part of witnessing the demonstration of that commitment today is so powerful. And I raise my hand, Siamnasiaya, to you all, each and every one of you. I'm thankful for the presence of each and every one of you, all being part of the helping hands that it's absolutely necessary to move us forward, to strengthen us as communities, as families, and as First Nations throughout this province. To be able to witness the commitment of our partners, for them to stand up with us and take that same witness and demonstrate that same level of commitment to what we're all trying to achieve. So I raise my hands to our partners. And at the same time, we know that this work that we've taken over, we haven't taken it over because it's easy. We've taken it over because it's so important. And that collective commitment is what's going to help us improve the quality of life of our people, to improve the health and the wellness, strengthen our minds, strengthen our hearts, and strengthen our bodies. So I know I only have a few minutes, but it's not enough time to tell you really how full my heart is. I can feel myself, I can feel the energy, I can feel the spirit, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. As we take our next step and we recognize that we're going to trip once in a while and we're going to fall, the good thing is we've got so many helping hands to lift us back up. We've got so much work to do, and I just really look forward to being part of that. So with that, thanking again each and every one of you for your commitment. And with that, I'll just look forward to getting lots of work done with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Next, we're going to turn to Jackie McPherson. She's from the Osoyoos Indian Band. She's the president of the First Nations Health Directors Association.
Thank you all for being here today, and I would like to first thank Leonard and his group for all that they do here. The coastal ceremonies just are so beautiful. They're so touching, and I love taking part in them when I come down here. And I would like to thank the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations for allowing us to do our important work in their territory. It is a beautiful territory, so thank you for allowing this. And I would like to thank you all for coming today and taking part. It has been a long road. It has been. It's been a lot of work, and it's been interesting. We've, had our bumps and had our disagreements, but I have to acknowledge the people that I work with. They're amazing. They're so smart. and they're so caring, and their hearts are in the right place, and they know where we're going, and they know why we're going there. My grandmother, she did a lot. She was an advocate for health, social, and education programs, and she was always saying, if we want it done right, we need to do it ourselves. And you know, Grandma, we're doing it. We're doing it. So she would be so proud. And that is one of the reasons that I do what I do. And the group that I have to work with, like I said, they're amazing, but I have to say, my board of directors, they're all over there. Stand up, guys. Oh, there's some over here too. The First Nations Health Directors Association. We have 3 from each region, and they work long and hard, and they do this as well as their jobs. So when we get to our table, they know what their communities need, they know the problems in the system, and they know what they need to do to make changes better for the people. And I absolutely love that. There's such strength around the table, and they are ready for working more, because now is where our work starts, because it is our programs that we're talking about, and we're going to change to make work for our people. So we're ready for it, and we accept this challenge, and I want to thank you very much for having me as your president, and we are the technical advisors now, and now it's our time. So thank you for asking me to be witness to this wonderful ceremony. Thank you.
Chief Julie Morrison.
Simgiget sigadam hanak kan kabuwal sir. Lu am koli will buck some samat amasatun. Sorry. We thank the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Squamish for allowing us to meet on their territory today. My Gitsan name is Gusaget, and I'm from the House of Goimt. This is a very exciting day for the First Nations in BC. This is a beginning of us making decisions that suit what we need in our communities. It gives us an opportunity to make the decisions, to have input. We can say what we need, where we need it, and why we need it. Their leadership and the health directors of the Northern region thank all who have worked so hard to get us to this point, and look forward to working in partnership with First Nations in BC, meeting the needs of those that need our health services and programs. And we must all remember the reasons that we're here today. I know everyone in this room is committed to improving their communities, to making life better for those that we're here to represent. And I think if we can work in a preventative manner with health, that we can make the future better for our future generations, because we can meet the needs of their health needs with nurses, medicines, and doctor appointments. But if we can instill hope, faith, and optimism, that will carry them through any challenges they may face in life. If we can build hope into our youth, they'll have hope that tomorrow can be better. They'll have hope that they can too achieve more than we did in this generation. If we instill faith into the youth, they'll know that they can overcome challenges. They'll know that we are there as leadership for them, that we will give them the tools they need to make the future better. And if they have optimism, that'll give them hope as well. These are important things that we need to instill in our youth. One of the things we as leadership can do is to have peace, to help generate peace in our communities, that if we can find peace in our hearts, then we can help others in a better way. And if we can turn our mindset around to being in a peace where our words are chosen with great care so that we don't hurt others with our words. Teach our youth things such as not to bully one another. Lateral violence is not acceptable. And I think one of the programs that doesn't get enough recognition within our health services is the National Aboriginal Youth Suicide Prevention Program. That we need to use that program to build our communities, to build our future generations so that they have faith, they have hope, and they are optimistic, that they know no matter what challenges they face, that we as leaders and health directors and people in our communities as parents, aunts, and uncles, that we are there for them no matter what comes their way. I would also like to thank the Northern Caucus for giving me this opportunity to speak at this time on this great day for BC First Nations. It is really an exciting time, and I'm really optimistic. I feel we can do so much more for our First Nations people when we work together. We're all in this room together, and yet we all have different languages, different protocols, and I really appreciate being educated and given the opportunity to see how the Coast Salish conduct their business. And I look forward to a day when we host a gathering of the wisdom in the north, and we're able to show you our culture and our traditions and our protocols. So one day we'll be in the north and you'll see where we all come from. So thank you again to all those that made this day happen, to all the staff of the First Nations Health Authority that have worked hard and to set up this beautiful display. We from the north, we thank you.
Chief Cookpay Wayne Christian, the next speaker.
White Cohitap and Squast Wanokchin and Rawa Cookby Spalachin to Squappen. Cookstam, Statiam, the Tamik, Salo to Musquam, Squamish. Wow. My name is Chief Wayne Christian. My Indian name is Wanokchin. I'm from Spalachin of the Squappen Nation. I've been asked by the Interior Nations to speak today. It's an honor. We've got from the Interior, we've got Statlium, who Chief Art Adolph sits on the executive. From the Salix, we've got Mick, West Bank. We've got Kevin Skinner from the Carrier, and we have, better remember all these guys, Chief Bernie Mack from the Silcotin, and myself from the Soquapan. One of the people that is not here with us is Gwen Phillips from the Tanaka. All of you that have been in the health work know her and know, she's actually dealing with some family issues right now, and I ask all of you, as we're in this ceremony, to send prayers and blessings to her and her family. That whatever they need, that will come to them in a good way, that comes to her in a good way, because she puts so much of herself out for all of us all the time. And I just ask that you just send those prayers and blessings to her. I ask you to do that for her at this time, because I think it's really important. I just wanted to thank the Kukukbi and here from this part of the world to let us do this business in this house. You know, it's not the longhouse, but it represents the house of your people down here. And if we were doing this in the longhouse, you would be standing on the Timich, the land, and you would be connected to the ancestors that we brought into us with this ceremony. And that'll be with us and look after us as we're here. So it's really important we know that and understand that. You know, I think we're at a time of great transformation. We're at a time of reconciliation. We're at a time of healing. And the work that we're doing here is so critical as we're witnessing with the pillars of the older ones and in the living markers of the younger ones. We're marking a time in history where things are going to change. I give credit and thanks to all of you, especially Grand Chief Doug Kelly and his leadership, and the First Nations Health Council that sits with him on continuing to steer the process. Let's give them a big hand for their work. We also need to give thanks to those people that are coming on board to steer the process now, and as we evolve our new health authority, and I was going to call him Joseph Gallagher. Oh. It's Joe Gallagher, right? I'm going to tease you, Joe, give you a new nickname. But the reality is this, is we are taking over. And we're at that time of transformation and reconciliation where we're no longer beggars in our own land, where we will no longer be on the streets in the poverty we see our people in. We're marking that day today to make change. We're marking it in such a way, we're doing it in ceremony, the way of our old people, the way it has been done for thousands of years. Yes, it may be in this building here, but when you bring the Chichitam, the songs, the Kwakalutan in your language, you call upon and they listen to you. And they will help. That's what I see this as we're doing here. When we first started this work, I was really concerned that we wouldn't do that. It would just become another meeting. We would gather, we wouldn't honor ourselves in a good way, in the way of our ancestors to bring back. Our transformation is not into something new. Our transformation is to the ways of our people. It's to our language, it's to our songs, it's to our ceremonies. That's our transformation. We're transforming ourselves to the strength of our people. And it's so, so important we understand that. That's what we're doing in this work. You know, in the interior, we've got many things going on. And the Silcotie Nation and the tribal chief is here and Chief Roger Williams is here. They're fighting Canada on the land issue. They're preparing, and I know they will talk about that. But they're preparing to go in that direction. Again, it's about the land because you can't separate health from the land. The malama, the plants, the medicines we have, those are the things we need to start thinking about and protecting for our future. You know, in the interior, we've got the king and queen of the BC Elders Gathering. I want to introduce them. Vera, and where are you? Stand up. Every time I walk by him, I got to bow, you know, royalty. Right, Emery? But it's important to understand that as we go into this transformation, you know, I've thought a lot about, you know, what we're doing and where we're going, and there's lots of tough things ahead of us. But you know, when I heard Lydia talk, she said something that I think was really important. We have survived. We've survived all the germ warfare, the legislative genocide, the cultural genocide that have been placed upon our people. We know what that's all about, but we've got to do something different for our health system now. We've got to start changing. Because how many of you know of people that have died of cancer? How many of you know of people that have died of disease that is preventable? How many of you know that young people and people that are living on the streets that are afflicted with HIV or AIDS? that have no home, that have no food, they have no water, they have no safety. We've got to transform ourselves to help those individuals at this time. So that is where we are going. Not as one, not as two, but 203 communities that decided to get this work done. That is the power in numbers, that is the power in coming together. So I just want to close by saying that we really need to think about our people that are struggling. You know, so much of the work that I do is for young people. You know, trying to understand that the young people are going through a very difficult time right now. You know, the suicide rates, the addictions. We've got to find ways to reconnect them with the land, with our culture. Because addictions really is about identity, loss of identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know where to turn to. So with this transformation to the ways of our people, we need to understand and help those young people. And the work we're going to do, you know, with Health Canada and the provincial government and ourselves, we need to come together on the same page and start doing things in a big way, not in a small way, in a big way to transform things for our people. So again, I thank you from the Chiefs of the Interior to give this opportunity to say these few small words and all the hard work that continue to be done by all of you. Koksham, Kokhayatis Rankasalt, and all my relations.
Chief Bob Chamberlain.
Gaelic as la hamas the local Atleo. Nu guam odi gael and la Aglukkaq mis muskamag zaudenoch. Gaelic as la musquium slewatooth squat mish la juchtamas wheatla megas none macolas quatnala. Says all the gala slope we mustn't from Golgapol to the local Atleo. My traditional name is Owadi, and the elected chief of the Kwekwassutinukwakwamis First Nation of the Muskamag Zaudenoch. Thank the host nations for allowing us to be here and for us to nunwakolas. And in our language, I understand that word means where we can come together and have the discussions to arrive at what it is that we all need. And for us to come together as one and enjoy the strength that's found within that unity, that hlokwimasans. And that is what we need for our peoples. That is what we need as leaders to do in order for us to meet the needs of our most troubled community members. Yesterday I heard the words reciprocal accountability coming up. And every time I hear that, I gotta tell you, I think about my cousin Lucy at home in Guildford. Because when the medical services fall short, she's very well versed in letting me know. And so when I stand and I ask the questions that I do about these health, where we're going, what's it gonna look like, how are we gonna access these funds, it's because I know I'm gonna have to face my cousin and explain that to her. And I trust that every leader in this hall has a cousin just like mine that motivates you to find those solutions that we need. I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge Kwaho Nyegedzi, my Gigame, my hereditary chief of our family, of the Muskamag Zaudenoch. For me, it is important to acknowledge that, to acknowledge the traditional governing structure of our people, and in doing so, acknowledging the very cultures that have kept our people alive in the face of the intrusion of the visitors that have arrived. And when I see the cultures that are still being practices, I can see the true strength that First Nations people have in the face of amazing amounts of oppression and misguided efforts to meet our needs. And yet all along our voice has been very steady, it has been very focused, that given the opportunity, we can describe what it is that we need for ourselves, by ourselves, in our communities where we come from. I think about the words of the inherent jurisdiction and authority. This is something which has never been relinquished. The very fact that each of us can speak a language which is unique to our peoples tells me that we have a very unique place within this universe. That this is an example of our inherent rights and jurisdiction that's very much alive today. And this is something that Canada struggles with when it comes to trying to meet the needs of our people. With all the good intentions the government has put forward, with all the program opportunities and funding caps, funding reductions to help us be more strategic with the monies we have to meet the needs of our people, it's failed. And so when I see us coming together as we have here for the work that the Health Council has accomplished with all the leadership that gathers to support and offer the direction, I say this: there is not one of us that has all the answers. But if we all come together as we have now, that we will have every answer that we need to chart that course forward for more appropriate healthcare services, upholding our traditions and our medicines, and how we organize ourselves to accomplish this. I want to encourage the Health Council and the First Nation Health Authority to embrace the tension. I would like to see those questions be accepted in a very respectful way, so we can then have a look at what is being questioned and we can make things better. So we can take this good work that has begun and we can continue to shape it as our needs evolve. And as we as First Nations people start to understand the impacts of the changes that are now coming to the First Nation Health Authority, when we can be able to speak that freely and openly and not be in a position where it would be taken in an argumentative way, but to find that way to respect one another, to understand that with 203 First Nations, there is going to be a very diverse approach to healthcare. And there's going to be a very diverse range of needs which we're going to try and meet with the Health Authority. I want us to always be respectful, to walk with honor and integrity, because as we walk and as we show our way forward, I want you to remember these young people that were standing here today. This is what we're going to show them. This is what we're going to teach them. Are we going to teach them positional, argumentative ways, or are we going to teach them respect and dialogue and inclusion and building things greater than any one of us could have imagined? I strongly urge to stay with the Directive 1, community-based, nation-driven, crucially important, because each of us have a different reality in terms of healthcare, health needs, and access. When I think of the discussion that I heard yesterday about the social determinants of health and looking to take this work on in addition to provision of the healthcare that we now have, I want to urge all the leadership that we're here to witness that discussion, to ensure that the path forward is guided by yourselves as the leaders, to make sure that we step up and offer our opinions and to find that direction and to find a good path forward, because as we know, the list of social determinants for health is vast, and it is what we need to do to truly create the proper space for the benefits of our people. I spoke with the chief yesterday, and he mentioned to me a number of things that he thought we need to mention. You know, suicide, mental health, FASD, you know, the real issues on the ground, lateral violence, on and on. there are some incredibly tough situations or tough issues which our communities struggle with. And this is what I want us to see, a way to target these additional federal dollars that were part of this whole package. And so we can have clarity about how to access those resources to better meet the needs of our people. And in closing, I would like to also urge the First Nation Health Authority to seek ways to provide for the Indian Residential School mental health envelope, that we continue to meet the needs of our most troubled individuals, our most valued and cherished peoples of our community, being the elders and the ones that are older, soon to be elders, that carry the burden of the residential school. I want to see appropriate funding continue to meet those needs. And I think with that, we could then have that structure we all want, the one that we envision, where our elders in a good, healthy, happy way to guide our grandchildren. And then we can become as strong a people as we once were. And so I've turned 2 small pieces of paper into probably a 12-minute speech. It's an example of chiefly powers in action. That's what it is. So thank you. Leona Aglukkaq.
Chief David Jimmy will be the next speaker, CM.
My name is David Jimmy. I'm the Chief of Squila First Nation, member of Chilkowiak Tribe, and member of Tribe of Tribes, Stalo Nation. It's a great honor to be here. I'd like to acknowledge the Tsleil-Waututh, the Musqueam, and the Squamish for allowing us to conduct this important work on their territory, and also acknowledge the elders, the chiefs, counselors, managers, staff, everyone that makes this possible out there today. We are on the cutting edge of implementing instrumental change within our First Nations. We have an opportunity and an obligation and a commitment that we've made to make this change happen. We are so blessed and we are so honored to be a part of this whole situation, this whole process. I can't express how good it feels to be a young leader in a position that gets to be a part of history and actually witness this and be able to share this story as I grow on and be able to share this with our kids and our youth. People are uncomfortable, there's concerns, there's a bit of conflict, and that's absolutely normal. I think it should be welcomed. I think it's important because we're actually implementing true change that without concern, there should be concern. You shouldn't be comfortable. And I think that people need to embrace that and understand that. And it's those concerns and it's those ideas that you want some clarity on or that you want questions answered that are going to make this work together. What's taken place is an extreme showing of unity from communities across BC, where I can't stress it enough, the importance of what we do for our children and our families. We all identify through, whether it be through community planning or any form of planning or just looking at our own First Nation values, we understand the importance of health, we understand the importance of family, culture. All of these things are included within this transformation of change and included in this, us moving forward, taking control, and asserting our place and our inherent right in this province. We're so very fortunate to be here, and I just wanted to share a few words on behalf of the Fraser region and acknowledge the Fraser region for the work that they've done, acknowledge the leadership and the leading by example. I'm very fortunate to have Chief Chapman, Chief Willie Charlie, and Grand Chief Doug Kelly as our representatives, and they demonstrate what it means to lead by example by coming together after going through conflict in the past, where everybody knows there was this conflict, but they've demonstrated what can be achieved through coming together. And I'm very honored to be able to look to them for mentorship and to be able to look to my fellow chiefs in the Fraser region for mentorship and listening and with open ears to the guidance that they provide. I just wanted to share a little bit and say thank you on behalf of the Fraser region, OCM.
Morning, everybody. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up here today. I think that one of the issues that we've been looking at is because this is such a huge change, and this is probably the first time that we've come together as BC on a common goal. And I know that's been tried in a number of different other areas, and because of our differences, the difference in our cultures, the difference in our beliefs, the difference of our geographic locations, it has been very, very difficult for us to find some common ground. That with the changes in the health, for quite some time, that we've always had programs that were dictated to us from upper levels, programs that were set in place that we have to find ways to make us fit those programs. And quite often, because of our communities, whether it be the different size or the different needs, is that we can't always take the best advantage of these programs that have been put in place for us, not being able to spend the funding that's been set out. And I think that everybody's experience in some form or another is the clawbacks, because we can't spend it the way it's dictated to be spent. So this is what the change is. That this program, health programs now will be set from the bottom up, from the community levels. There's been a lot of question out there as to why do we need all these different levels of, as the current government have the different levels where the money starts at the top and goes through the different departments, the different managers, and by the time it gets to us, it's I think the most common expression is we get 10 cents on a dollar. So with the community level planning, it starts from the community level. The needs are specific needs. And again, it brings another common question: is how do we be a part of the crowd? How do we be part of what's happening? That is not the direction we're going. Is that when you're looking for the needs of your community, you look after the needs of your community. To hell with everybody else. You look after what your community needs, and this is what gets passed on. We're in the different regions, so the different regions we have the different needs as well. So as the programs flow down, the communities decide what we need, goes to the regions. The regions identify the specific needs for the areas, and it doesn't give us a one size fits all program, so we can change from the bottom up how we spend the dollars, how we address the needs. I know a lot of communities talk about the suicide prevention, the alcohol, and it's not all the same for all the communities. We all have those problems, but we all have different levels of those problems. Some issues are more serious in communities than others. I think that communication, again, is one of the key issues. That since this has started, our communities have numerous changes in the leaderships, and the continuity of information is not always there. But as community leaders, your first focus is to identify the needs of your community, or not specific to health, but all the other needs. So we lose the continuity of information flow on what's been going on in health. So, what I have been doing is I've been sharing on a continuous basis in our General Assemblies with my community what has been going on, what do we expect, and it's in our last General Assembly, our elders were asking about the changes and if now their medication is going to be covered. A lot of their medications are not covered for what they need. So, I stood up and I apologized to my elders and I advised them that with all the changes coming, they're not going to be immediate, and there may be a chance that our elders, those elders, may not be with us when we realize the full effect of the changes of this new system. We are changing the spending formulas for the dollars going into the communities. Over the years, our health program dollars have not been growing as much as our administration needs have been, and that's both at the community level, the government levels, and all the ways up till we get the main part of the money. So, and I've been hearing that amongst this gathering, the questions being asked about when will we realize the changes. With the formula or the agreements that are set in place, first thing we do is we take care of the administration costs. We have our leadership council and all the team will be addressing the dollars that are being spent at the higher levels of administration before it gets to us, and eliminating a lot of the unnecessary expenses to create the more dollars to be flowed into the communities. So I think that we need a very strong communication plan to relay to our members, all of our members of all of our communities, on how these changes are going to take effect and when we will realize the full effect of these changes. So on behalf of the Vancouver Coastal, I'd like to thank you for hearing what I have to say.
Thanks, Chief Don. At this time, I wanted to acknowledge Cook Bay Christian for mentioning Gwen's name. Those of you, it was mentioned yesterday and forgot to mention it this morning that Gwen Phillips is a very dynamic part of our health council. Those of you who know Gwen, we say she doesn't need to be wound up. She's pretty wound up and she's pretty vocal and she's very, very committed. She's very, very knowledgeable, very sincere and dedicated to this work in health. And so we wanted to invite Chief Williams from the Tanakha to come up and share a bit. Chief Jason.
Gesukukit, Ugakle Gakint Awo, Ugaki Gache Yakanuki, Usokish Kokni Kinwa, Gapi Akl Smaknik. Good afternoon. My name is Chief Jason Louis of the Lower Kootenay Band. I am from the same nation as Gwen of the Tanakha. So as it was mentioned, Gwen is with her sister who is very ill, and despite Gwen not being able to be here with us today, I think it's very appropriate to acknowledge her, as she is very key and a driving force in this process. So with that, I'd like to ask all of you to join me in giving a big round of applause to Gwen, and also sending some prayers and thoughts to her and to her family. I'm going to take a picture of this for Gwen. Thank you. And also to assist with what Gwen is going through, and also to acknowledge our leadership, in particular our chiefs, who often do not get the recognition, but most importantly, the respect that they deserve. In this process, the chiefs are play such an important role to make this a success. And wherever our chiefs are in the audience, this song is to honor you and everything that you do. The time away from your families, the time away from your community. Oftentimes, it is very lonely to be in this position, very isolated, that it seems that there are two extremes to being a chief. You're either loved or you're hated. It depends on the day. And a reminder to everyone that the Creator gave us a voice so we can sing. The Creator gave us these songs to communicate with that being and all of its helpers. Never be ashamed, and I say this to the younger people, never be ashamed of your voice. Never be ashamed of these songs. These songs have been with us since time immemorial. They are here to help us. And with this process of this health transfer, they go hand in hand. With that, I thank you. Dacha.
The First Nations Health Council, First Nations Health Authority, First Nations Health Directors Association really put up their hands to Gwen. We know that she gives her all in everything that she does, especially for health. She's a good voice for all of us. The prayer and your feelings have been put into this blanket, and we're going to send it to her to help her to regain all of her strength.
Thank you, Chief Jason Louis, for acknowledging our dear sister, for helping her and her beloved sister. Thank all of you for your kind words, your prayer, you standing and sending love to our dear sister, Gwen, and her sister, who's not here for much longer. So I want to thank you, Chief, for doing that for our dear sister, Aisha. In this work, it requires champions. It requires someone to stand up and to convert those that want to stay with the status quo and to persuade them, cajole them, occasionally bully them, to go from no way, no how, to yes, we're going to do this. Yes, we're going to do this. In Health Canada, in the Government of Canada, in the Cabinet of Canada, we had such a champion. She's here. Her flight was delayed, something about bad gas, a leaky whatever. But the minister, now Minister of Environment, but our health minister, our health champion, the Honorable Leona Aglukkaq, is here to share a few words. When I sat with her, you noticed my shawl isn't on anymore. My headband isn't on anymore. I'm going to make a gift of that important shawl and that important headband to my dear sister, Leona. I'm going to invite Leona up. I've asked my sister to cover her. I told the minister what I was going to do. And I said, Minister, I don't want you forgetting us. Please welcome Leona.
Thank you, Koyanami. Thank you so much for having me here this afternoon. I'm on my way back to Ottawa from Whitehorse, and Doug's quite right. Our flight was delayed out of Whitehorse, but I am so thrilled to be here with you today, and I didn't want to miss this day and to offer my congratulations to each and every one of you. I've been part of this file since pretty much day one with Grand Chief Doug Kelly and his great team. It's been a great journey and a file that I have enjoyed so much working on with Doug and his team. And there are many times through the process of the discussions that we had to come back and build on some of the challenges that we are facing. We had to come back, sit down, resolve in order to take the next step. And the team that was working on this file was so dedicated to going forward. I don't know how many times I had to fly over to BC last minute to sit down and try and get through some of the hurdles. And I have to say that you had a dedicated team that worked with us through the process. Through that process, I've gotten to know many of you. I have many great stories to also share with you, and someday Doug and I will have to write a book so that we can share this experience with our fellow First Nations and Aboriginal people in Canada. What you have accomplished here today is historic in Canada, and back when I was appointed and I learned that there was a tripartite agreement framework signed off before I was appointed, I took that as an opportunity to make the changes that we need to deal with amongst Aboriginal people and First Nations people in Canada. I looked at that tripartite agreement to say, this is the tool we need to start taking charge of the health disparities that we see amongst Aboriginal people in this country. We needed to design a framework for First Nations people by First Nations people. And today you're here to go forward in addressing the challenges and the opportunities. We have to have the vision to move there. Everything you've talked about and you share today, you now have the tools and the resources to address for yourselves and your communities, culturally appropriate for your communities. This is the first of its kind in Canada, and you should be so very proud of your accomplishments. I will share one story with Doug through the process, through the working group. When the working group put forth a proposal that found the framework that agreed to and so on, and the funding, I took that and had to get approved from our cabinet colleagues and whatnot. And the day that I got that framework agreement approved to present to Doug to share then with First Nations people in the community, I called him from my office in Ottawa. I had him on the speakerphone. And I said, Doug, guess what? What? I said, you have your agreement. And at that moment, the earthquake started in Ottawa. So I said to Doug, I better go, Doug, because we have, the earth is moving. And Doug says, you made my world rock. And I'm like, I'm not joking. It's actually happening. And I share that with Doug, and we talk about that because the timing couldn't be great, and somebody somewhere is watching out for the work that we were doing. If I didn't believe in the work that this was possible as an Aboriginal person, I would have never pushed for a file to achieve something like this today. I believe that as Aboriginal people, we have to start making the decisions for ourselves, designing the programs for ourselves, culturally relevant to deliver programs for our people. And you now have that today, so I say congratulations to all of you. I am so proud to have been a part of this journey with you. With your accomplishments, share what you've experienced with your fellow First Nations people throughout Canada. Share your lessons and the journey that got you here today. We need to share the lessons, the good lessons that we've learned to help each other. So with that, I say congratulations to all of you, and I'm so very proud to have been a part of a great team. And Doug, thank you, and congratulations to you and your team as well. Koyanami.
Stay up here, okay? Yeah. Just as we're acknowledging Minister, can we ask the chief to come back with a blanket that was being sent for Gwen as well? You can have the blanket up here. There's some ladies that would like to sing a woman's warrior song for our minister here to acknowledge the great work that you've been doing, working with our communities and on this journey of health. So they like to sing the Women's Warrior song, but also use that song as a prayer to give Gwen and her sister some strength to carry on.
For any of the women who'd like to come join us, can you please come join us? This song is from the Lillooet area, and it's been shared throughout the whole province. And it honors all of the women leaders, because we are all life givers, we're caretakers, and so many women are involved in this process. Without us, there would be no life. Haitchka CM to Slintlani, Heights Apka ni Titulum at Slintlani to Stastamech. Thank you for the beautiful song and sharing the Women's Warrior.
My dear friends, that brings an end to the work that we had in mind on behalf of First Nations Authority. We thank you all for the patience. We hold our hands up to you in gratefulness for the patience. We're now going to close the floor off. We're going to open up to more drumming and singing and some food. That's the good news. So I leave it to the young man to explain how we're going to do that. Thank you.
O CM na siya Heights Apka CM na siya ni Aquist auch ta Quam Schwallowens app Ni hayat chacha yais. Ni aquas thi yais. First Nations Health, British Columbia, thi yais. Ni ait schwalwanap ta chwachwilmoch. It's a great day for our people in British Columbia, our native people, and that concludes the work that is to be done here today. And it was inspiring to see so many of you from all corners of our beautiful territories coming together. Natsamat Nashkwalowin, having that one thought, that one feeling inside, collectively. And it's historic. And it makes me feel good for my children and grandchildren, knowing that we're more in control again of our destiny. So like my father was saying, the lunch is ready outside as well. And I'm going to turn the floor over to my brother Chiquaquat. But encourage people to go and eat, feed yourself and feed your spirit. But also, we also want to turn the floor over to our drummers. And I want to apologize as well. We had many requests coming from different drummers and drum groups. But what we want to do at this time is we want to turn the floor over to our drummers, starting in our northern region and going around to share your medicine. But before we begin with the songs, I also have my brother Chiquaquat here to do some closing remarks. Siam Heights Apka.
Kusailap to Siaman Siaya, 8 Siayas, 8 Schwalachol the Siaman Siaya, Chiquaquat Tol Squee. Just wanted to acknowledge each and every one of you, thanking you for the really, really good work of the day. My being is filled up with goodness for the great work of today. Really want to thank you all for your patience and your understanding, the respect that you've shown to one another. You know, to say that we can do a ceremony in 3 hours or 3.5 hours, and with, I think a few people referenced how length of Shane's speeches. You know, so I really want to, it's a historic day. It's an awesome day. What a beautiful day for First Nations in British Columbia. Thanking you all for respect of one another and for carrying on in the ceremony in this way, and respecting the Musqueam and the Tsleil-Waututh, the Squamish nations, for allowing us on their traditional territories to conduct our business and to celebrate with one another. I just want to put those few words out. We do know that there's some lunch being served right now, and there's 4 stations that are out there. We're going to still invite our nations to come forward and to share in the celebration and the songs and the dance. Again, given the time frames that we have, we hope that you continue to show respect for one another. But we're going to open the lunch up now as well to have those to have the meal, and encourage you to grab your food and come back and enjoy the beautiful songs and the beautiful sharing that's going to happen. And hopefully when we have that time of, we can also make some time to invite the King and the Queen forward during the lunch break as well. And if we can also make some time to invite the Tsilhqot'in Nation forward as well to share a little bit. So please enjoy your lunch. Grab some lunch and come back and listen to the wonderful songs of celebration today. Thanking you all for allowing us to carry on in this way. And we're going to invite someone from the representative of the northern region to come forward. If you're all coming forward with your songs, I'll just turn it to you, however you would like to do that at this time. So again, thanking you all. We're going to come back We're going to come back here about, Harold just told me, but I can't remember. Going to carry on in the afternoon after we're done sharing with the songs. We're going to come back here at 1:45 to carry on with the afternoon session. If there's any returning back to the Fraser Valley, there's a family member here. Her husband has just lost some of her family, dear relatives, and she's looking for a ride back into the Fraser Valley. So Inez is here. Inez Jasper, if there's any heading back to the valley and you are able to take Inez with you, please do.